And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is Friday First. This is that series where we talk about those brand new number one issues, new character debuts, new story arcs, and the like. And this is for books that are coming out on November 12th, 2025. So, before I get into this week's books, and we do have a decent amount to talk about because I've read a lot of my books already this week. Um, I just want to let you know that at the end, after I've gone through all the books and everything, if you want to stick around, I'm going to talk about next week's episode, which is kind of a special episode, and what comes after that, because we've hit a milestone with this episode or with next episode, and I'll talk about that again. But this is episode 99 of Friday First. So obviously, you know what the milestone is. But like I said, we'll talk about that towards the end before I close out. So I want to get right into the books for those that just want to hear my thoughts on the books and all that stuff. So we're just going to jump into that, but definitely stay tuned for the end if you want to hear what's coming up next week and beyond for this series. All right. So with the books that came out this week on Wednesday that I talked about on last week's episode of Friday First, I've read 5 of the number one issues. So one of them I'm only going to talk about really briefly because it was a shout out. It wasn't actually one of the rated books last week, but I do want to mention it real quick. And I apologize. I got to put my glasses on. There's a little bit of a glare, so I'm going to try to look down a little bit. But my eyes are kind of a little blurry today, so got to put on the reading glasses here. So apologize for that. See, like it glares when I look up at the camera. So apologies for not looking straight at the camera sometimes, but I'm looking down so it doesn't glare. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of all the exposition, explanation, all that good stuff. Let's talk about these books. So the one I'm going to talk about briefly is Thundercats Pumra, issue number 1. This is from Dynamite. 40-page book for $5.99. This is written by Ed Brisson and with art by Alice Leclerc. Or Leclerc, I'm not exactly sure how she pronounces it actually, but I work with Alice on a book called Crossover Division. She does alternating issues with another artist, Pablo Martinena, and she illustrated this entire book. She also illustrated some pages in, I believe it was issue 18 of the ongoing series. So really happy for her. It was a shout out last week, and I definitely wanted to check out her art in this book, and that's why I'm not going to go too heavy into it because I don't like to do that with friends' books and everything. And she's a fantastic artist, fantastic person, great to work with. Yeah, so just really cool that she got to work on this book, and it was actually a really decent read. I mean, Ed Brisson's a fantastic writer anyway. I've really enjoyed the story. It was in the aftermath of this war against the mutants, and it was focusing on this one girl who lost her family in this war, and all she had in her heart was revenge. And it's this touching tale of when she finally has the chance to get this revenge, she realizes how meaningless revenge is and what her parents would actually want her to do and want to become. So a really touching story. I think Alice did a wonderful job of nailing the emotion in the facial expressions and in the mannerisms and all of this stuff, and also the anger in the like in both the attackers and in the girl and everything. So just a really good issue, really solid issue with a nice message in it as well. So that is Thundercats Pumra or Pumira. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that if I can speak today. All right, the next book I'm going to talk about is one that I wasn't going to pick up, but I decided to go ahead because I did like the Predator stuff. The art looked really good in this book as well. So I was like, okay, I'll give the first issue a shot. And you know what? I actually really enjoyed this. This is Alien versus Captain America, issue 1. This is written by Frank Thierry with art by Stefano Raphael. And this takes place in World War II. So you've got Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos. They've lost one of their own. Baron von Strucker is on the hunt for a weapon from the lost civilization of Inhumans, the royal family. So they're trying to find this weapon. And of course, they come across the aliens instead and try to utilize that in their war against America. And so yeah, we get to see Captain America teaming up with the Howling Commandos a little bit towards the end. But the focus of this issue, as it was mostly set up, was to show how devastatingly threatening the aliens are, the xenomorphs. So that's kind of what we saw in this issue, and so going forward, we're going to see that conflict rise. So I thought it was a really solid opening issue, and yeah, I'm glad I picked it up and looking forward to the next one. Next book I'm going to talk about is Planet She-Hulk, issue number 1, and this is spinning out of Imperial. Obviously, if you've read any of Imperial, you know why she's there. There was a funeral for one of Hulk's sons, which I was so behind on the Hulk side of things that I didn't realize he had two sons. I thought the son that died was Scar, but apparently it was not. It was another one called, does it say it here? It's like Hirokala or something like that. Anyway, she was there because Hulk was trying to find the murderer, and so he asked her to be there for 5 days. Obviously, 5 days passed, another 5 days passed, and so on and so forth. And she has just been there, and now there's this political uprising. They are threatened by a Hulk being there and being on the throne, even in just like a temporary basis and everything. There are different factions that want to take over the planet, and She-Hulk has to kind of be the security force here and the leader of the whole planet, even though she just wants to go home and she's trying to procure a spaceship and everything. I thought in this issue we got some of the classic She-Hulk stuff here, like just a touch of John Byrne, just a tiny touch of John Byrne style, but a little bit leaning into some of the more recent She-Hulk stuff we've got with the Fight Club and all that stuff in her own narrative, but surrounded by a much more serious kind of plot and more detailed kind of art style than those books would have had. So it was this juxtaposition of all these different She-Hulks together. But overall, I enjoyed this take on She-Hulk. So yeah, I could see myself reading this. I don't know if it's a story that's necessary, especially if you're not into the sci-fi, the space side of the Marvel universe and all of that stuff. If you're not into Planet Hulk and everything, but if you like the history there, if you like She-Hulk, I think you'll like this. I did like this, and enough to get a second issue. Next up is my most anticipated book from last week, which is G.I. Joe issue number 13. This is the first issue of the Dreadnought War, and the action, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of action. I shouldn't say that. But the story started off strong and never stopped all the way through. It was there wasn't a slow moment in this book, even though we have this 2-page spread of Duke driving out into the desert. Even that, this story moved and moved and moved to get everyone in place, but it didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like you were just thrown into a situation. There was a lot of backstory here. If you'd read like the Cobra Commander miniseries, if you'd read the previous 12 issues of G.I. Joe, if you'd read the Duke miniseries, you would know all of the things. You would have more kind of overall knowledge of the entire story. But even if you hadn't, they did a really good job of condensing the description of everything that had happened in the narrative. So you had like Ripper, who had been attacked by Cobra Commander, the Dreadnoks in the Cobra Commander miniseries. He had attacked some of the Dreadnoks, killed some of them, and that's touched on as Destro kind of tries to get in Ripper's ear as a plot starts to form, and you kind of get reminded of Duke's hatred for the Transformers, for the giant robots. You get a flashback of PTSD of him losing a comrade, different things like that were just kind of touched upon, and you got the importance of the events and the players in this particular issue right away. And then as the plot unfolds and Cobra Commander and Duke both separately are headed towards the same signal, an energon signal, they both arrive there around the same time, and then the ambush happens and the Dreadnoks are on the scene and the war has begun. Cobra Commander is now handcuffed to Duke as he's trying to take him into captivity. At the same time, the Dreadnoks are trying to kill them both. So you have so much going on in this issue, but it never felt overwhelming. It never felt like too much. And it just felt like, oh, I want more. I want that next issue now. And thankfully, throughout this Dreadnought War, it's 5 parts. This will ship bi-weekly. So you only have to wait 2 weeks instead of 4 for that next installment. But just another fantastic issue of G.I. Joe. And the last recap I have is DC K.O. Knightfight issue number 1. And this is the story of Batman after he was taken out of the tournament. This is him trying to get back. But his journey is a lot more complex than maybe we realized, as wherever he went into a future Gotham where Dick Grayson is now Batman, and there is an entire like organization of Robins across the globe that are under Batman's purview and all this stuff. And the Batman of this timeline did some really dark stuff, and he's not welcome there. And the new Batman, Dick Grayson, and the Robins, they want nothing to do with him. They want to take him down, and he's got to try to convince them that he really is in this tournament. He's got to get past them to get back into it. And it seems like it's an uphill battle for Batman at this point, because he's got the entire world and his family against him, and they're all well trained, and he's kind of met his match here. So we're going to see how that goes. Really powerful issue, really strong, beautiful art. Of course, this was, of course, written by Joshua Williamson. I lost his name for a second. And art by Dan Mora, one of my favorite artists, and just so bright and vibrant and action heavy, action packed. Just fantastic issue. And because everybody and their brother is doing this comparison now, because this and Batman issue number 3 came out this week, and since I don't get to talk about that issue in this episode, I'll just say which one was better, Batman or Knightfight. Honestly, I would give it to Knightfight just by an edge, but Batman number 3 was fantastic as well. You can see where the pieces are falling. You can see where that story is headed. We'll talk about it on Comic Book Weekly this week. But yeah, I really loved both issues, but I would give it to this one just a tad more for me personally. But that's it with the recap. So we're going to get into a few honorable mentions and then get into those rated books. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end so we can talk about next week's episode and the future of this series. All right, the first honorable mention we have is Poison Ivy 2025 Annual. This is 48 pages for $5.99, and this is written by G. Willow Wilson with art by Mark Buckingham. This is on the honorable mention list because I don't read the Poison Ivy series. I heard really great things about it. I was reading it for a little while, then I started getting it for the covers, then I just kind of fell off it completely. But yeah, I've heard only good things about this series. So whether you're jumping in, I don't know if this is a good jumping on point or not. Don't want to say that. But whether you're jumping in or you're a regular reader of the series, want to let you know this is out there. And yeah, check out the Poison Ivy Annual. Next up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Godzilla issue 1. This is long before the Foot Clan was corrupted by Shredder. They were apparently used to kind of combat giant kaijus from destroying Japan. So that, at least in this timeline, so that kind of comes into play here. Now Shredder is behind all these attacks with Godzilla. He's kind of using Godzilla, and the TMNT have to come against him in some way. This is written by Tim Seeley with art by Farrell Panish. I love TMNT. This probably isn't for me, but if you're a big fan of these crossovers with Godzilla, I've said it before on this show, definitely check this one out, especially if you're a TMNT fan as well. Next up is Predator Badlands. This is issue 1. This is written by Ethan Sachs with art by Eldon Ching, inks by Oren Jr. And this is a prequel to the Predator Badlands movie coming up. So if you're a fan of the Predator franchise, if you're looking forward to this movie, you want to see what brings us to this place. This is the prequel. It says a young Yaja warrior is given a seemingly simple task by his father: retrieve a piece of technology from a derelict spaceship that crashed years ago. Inside, however, an ancient and deadly threat lies in wait. Now, Predator will become the prey. So interesting, flipping the tables on the Predator in this issue leading into that film. So again, if you're a fan, check that one out. Next honorable mention is another Thundercats one shot. I think these are one shots. Thundercats Panthro issue 1. This is 40 pages for $5.99. This is also written by Ed Brisson, but this time with art by Dave Acosta. So if you're a big Panthro fan, you might want to check this one out. And our final honorable mention is 1776 issue number 1. This is written by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Ron Lim. This is a group of Marvel heroes going back in time to safeguard the founding of the United States of America. And this just, I don't know. This is not for me personally. So it's just one of those things. It could be great. It could be okay. I don't really know. I have no opinion on it. But if you're a big JMS fan, if this sounds like a cool concept to you, want to let you know it's out there. Go check out 1776. But with that, we're going to get into this week's number 1 issues, those rated books. All right, first up from Image Comics, we have Colossal Kaya issue number 1. This is a 48-page book with for $4.99 with a wraparound cover. This is a special issue of this series. I think I may have read one issue of Kaya, and then I just, for whatever reason, I never went back. I don't remember anything about it. I don't even remember for sure if I read it, but it's been kind of in the peripherals, right? But this is a special issue with a bunch of creators involved. You see the names there: James Herron, Nathan Fox, Michael Huddleston, Declan Chauvet, Ryan Stegman, Wes Craig. Teams up with all these artists for this big special. Doesn't give much in way of a description for the actual story, but if you've been following this series, you might want to check this one out because of all the creators involved, the hype around this. I definitely thought it was worthy of the rated, not just an honorable mention. Maybe if I hear this is like a kind of a standalone thing or a jumping on point, I might check it out. I don't know. Someone let me know. But for now, I'm going to give this one a potentially good. And yeah, so that is Colossal Kaya issue number 1. Next up from Mad Cave Studios, we have Liquidator issue number 1. This is a 32-page book for $4.99, written by Peter Milligan with art by Peter Kowalski. So if you're familiar with Peter Milligan, the thing that stands out to me most when I hear his name, and it's probably different for everybody, but for me, it's Static X, or what was Ecstatics. Both of those, the Mike Allred art that was what was that book called originally? I can't remember what the original name of it was a team of X characters that were kind of weird. That was Zeitgeist and is it Goop? What is that guy's name? You know who I'm talking about. I can't think of their names right now. They're leaving my mind, but I can see them in my head. I remember there was like a contest where you could create a new character for the series back then. I submitted a bunch of designs way back when and all that good stuff. But anyway, that's the name. That's the title that pops up for me when I hear Peter Milligan's name. So this book by Peter Milligan, sorry about that long diatribe, but anyway, this book is about this character named Aubrey Street who fixes, she's called a liquidator, and she fixes these glitches in time. So she's gone back to 1891, 100 years before this masterpiece is supposed to be published, and she is worried that, I guess, 1981 is rejecting her. So now she's looking to fix glitches in her life. Meanwhile, there's this other character that is planning to kill this servant girl, whose life has been turned upside down by a book she found. And apparently, all these characters in this story are somehow connected, and they don't know how. And that's kind of the mystery of the series. Sounds kind of interesting. Sounds kind of out there. Not sure how to feel about this one at this point, but I will give it a potentially good for now because Mad Cave just does some fantastic stuff. So, willing to check out that first issue. Next up is a series that my wife is excited about. She read that first volume. I read a good amount of it as well, but this is Die Loaded, issue 1 from Image Comics, 32 pages for $3.99, written by Kieran Gillen with art by Stephanie Hans. And this is a dark fantasy adventure where it's kind of like Jumanji in a way that these kids play this and get sucked into the game. One of the characters in the original series got stuck in there for years. They thought they were gone forever. Then they kind of came across them, and this dark plot started to unfold. Again, I never finished it, but this is the sequel to that. They finished with the game, but the game is not done with them. And so we're back for another roll of the die. And tying into that also is a role-playing game quick start edition for you RPG players out there. There is an edition that goes with it. I'm excited about this. I need to finish that first volume. I don't think my wife actually finished it either, so we'll both have to finish that. But because of what I remember about it, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give this one a promisingly good. Also from Image, next up is Gray Lady, issue number 1. This is 40 pages for $5.99, written by Adam Glass and Mike Benson with art by Ken Lashley. And this centers around a character named Samantha Ellis, who is being haunted by the loss of her son Ben after an accident years ago, or a year earlier, I should say, during a snowstorm and everything. Now this grief has kind of torn her life apart, but this psychic warns her that her dead son is in danger, and so now she's kind of leaping into action to try to do something for her son that is no longer here. It says it's a chilling blend of The Sixth Sense and Ghost. The Gray Lady is a supernatural thriller that explores the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child, where hope, grief, and terror collide. So that sounds really cool. You've got a writer that worked on Deadpool and Entourage. You've got a writer that worked on Supernatural and Suicide Squad. So yeah, you've got some really kind of tapped in writers in those kind of stories, so that could be really interesting. Yeah, so I'm really curious about this one. I've kind of kept my eye on this one for a little bit, been looking forward to it, and now I'm kind of happy it's here. I'm looking forward to trying out this first issue, so I'm going to give this one a potentially good. Then from Dynamite, we have Gargoyles X Fantastic Four, because we love these crossovers these days. But this is a cool one. This is actually really cool because the first time that I ever saw Gargoyles, and I kind of absorbed that cartoon, the vibe it gave me was very Fantastic Four. It's a lot darker than a Fantastic Four, but they are a family. It's kind of like the Gargoyles are kind of like a blend of X-Men and Fantastic Four, because they're this tight-knit family. They're all they have, and they're kind of protecting the world, even though the world doesn't really want their protection or want them in it. So you definitely have elements of the X-Men, but then you've got that family dynamic of the Fantastic Four. So it's kind of an interesting matchup that you have here, especially with the Thing. The Thing can probably really relate to the Gargoyles, who turn to stone during the day. So that's really interesting. This is also written by Greg Weisman, who obviously behind Gargoyles and various other properties, with art by George Campadias. I recognize that name. I can't place what I've seen George's art on, but I think I like it. So yeah, this is a 40-page special, by the way. So yeah, this one, I might check this one out. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but it does sound interesting, and those again are good characters to mix up. So but at the same time, recent Gargoyles stuff I've read, I haven't loved. I feel like it's been a little bit overwhelming, and these crossovers are always hit and miss. So for me, I'm going to give this one a possibly good. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it. Next, from Dark Horse, we have American Caper issue number 1. This is a 32-page book for $4.99. And this is written by Dan Hauser with art by David Lapham. Now, I had to look up Dan Hauser and see who he was, and he is a video game writer. He's written for Grand Theft Auto, I think Red Dead Redemption, different things like that. So he writes the story for those kind of games, and those games have really rich, really deep stories. So that gives me a lot of kind of hope for the potential of this based on the writer coming to this. So this is about two normal, completely damaged families in a world of corrupt businesses. You've got politicians, criminals. It says unfortunate leisure wear, so you got a little comedy thrown into the description here. We've got two neighbors on the point of collapse. You've got a Mormon hitman and a gambling addict lawyer. Their lives are intertwined by this real estate deal that has gone wrong. And then you throw in a Mexican beauty queen on the run from her past, two convicts in love, and a Wall Street billionaire who has become a cowboy and a maniac bent on revenge. So all kinds of characters thrown in there. It sounds like he's throwing everything in there together, but based on those video games and the stories involved there, I could see how all those could tie together and create these interesting little threads. Sounds really interesting to me. So yeah, I'm going to check this one out for sure. And I'm going to give this one a promisingly good. So let me know what you think about it. And let me know if you check this out, what you thought about the issue. And finally, if you've been looking at the previews in the back of the DC books this week, you've seen a few pages from this. This is Batman Static Beyond issue number 1, 32 pages, $4.99. This is written by Evan Narcisse with art by Nicholas Draper Ivy. And yeah, so this is a future story with Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, meeting I'm guessing an aged up Virgil Hawkins, aka Static, and they are creating this new technological revolution in Dakota City, which is where Static is based. We get the introduction of this Q-Wave energy grid, and so now the Justice League Beyond is teaming up with Static and Batman and everything to prepare for Earth's induction into this interplanetary alliance called the Cooperative. And everything's going great until, of course, a new villain comes on the scene to mess everything up, as you'd think would happen. So we don't get a whole lot from those preview pages. It's basically just introducing us to the characters a little bit. We don't get a whole lot of the action. We do see the art style, of course, which looks pretty good. My guess is if you're not a fan of Batman Beyond or Static or some of the other Beyond titles that maybe we've seen, you might not like this. But if you are a fan of either of these characters, you might want to try this one. I'm a fan of the characters. I'm not always a fan of the comics. So it's hit and miss with either one of these, with Batman Beyond or Static in comic form. Big fan of both cartoons though. But yeah, so for me, I'm going to give this one a potentially good. I will say that I did like the preview pages that we got in the books this week, so we'll see what happens with it, but for now, it's a potentially good. And that is it for the rated books. So real quickly, I'm going to talk about a few other books that I'm looking forward to here. We've got Iron and Frost issue number 2. This is one of the X-Men Age of Revelation tie-ins. One of the ones that I actually did like because it did pick up on some threads from when Tony and Emma had their fake marriage and all of this stuff. And I like the way that they came back together, and it left you with that cliffhanger with Iron Man having like a metal Tony Stark face, and I've got to know what's going on with that. I'm so curious about that one. Green Lantern Corps issue number 10. We're in the aftermath of the Starbreaker supremacy, and so we're going to catch up with all these new lanterns, see what's going on, where the core side of things is going from here. Blue Falcon and Dynamite issue number 2 really turned the tide for me. I decided to give it one more issue after one, which was decent, but it didn't blow me away. But that second issue, the emotional intensity throughout that entire issue won me over. So I cannot wait to find out what happens at that last page of last issue. We saw Dynomutt come online, so now we're going to see him in full force in this issue. So I can't wait to see that. Court, Children of the Round Table, issue number 3. First issue was set up, they got their weapons. Second issue, really good, really strong as the narrative continued. Really fun series, kind of an all ages kind of vibe, but I really like it, and I'm looking forward to see where things go with issue 3, because now they're kind of being hunted by the ones that want these weapons. So we're going to see how that plays out. Redcoat, issue number 15. Simon Pure has traded gunpowder and glory for quiet days and clock punching job. Okay, that's weird. So yeah, we're gonna see what Simon Pure is up to in this latest issue. We don't get a whole lot to go on here, only that this one is set in 1909. Always a good series though. Every issue really solid. Fantastic Four, issue number 5. Last issue was kind of a one and done story, really fun with this alien dog creature. Now we've got the Black Cat popping up, and it looks like Reed, Benny, and Johnny are all gone to the negative zone. So Sue and Alicia are left there as Black Cat is breaking in, and we're going to see how that all plays out. Sounds like a fun time to me. Venom issue 251. We've got Doc Ock back in the mix as Scar is looking to get the new toxin. And Luke Cage, of course, is back in the mix as well. He's not happy with everything going on. MJ is getting a new job. So it sounds like, and Venom's getting a new look. Blue Streak is back. So all kinds of stuff going on in this issue. We're going to see what happens with that going forward. And then, of course, we've got Transformers issue number 26. It says Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora shake up the Energon universe as Optimus is betrayed, and the Autobots' newest hope might be their downfall. So, yeah, always looking forward to Transformers. Always a good time with that. But that's it for all the books. So, as promised, I want to talk just briefly about next week's episode and the future of Friday 1st. So, next week's episode is my 100th episode of Friday 1st. That is crazy. It snuck up on me. Huge milestone, 100 episodes of the series. If you've been with me from day one, thank you. If you're joining me, just tuning in for the first time, I appreciate you as well. So yeah, I'm looking to do something special for next week, and I'm also going to discuss a little bit more about the future of the show next week, but I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do. I'm toying with maybe some kind of giveaway, thinking about maybe bringing somebody on. I don't know exactly. So it's going to be a special show though. So definitely tune in next week for that 100th episode of Friday 1st. And beyond that, after that episode, I'm going to take a break for Thanksgiving. I think that's the way it falls. Next episode. Oh no, there's actually 2 weeks, isn't there? Yeah, I might still take a break. I was thinking that the 100th episode would be the week before Thanksgiving, but it's 2 weeks. So I got my timeline off a little bit there. I'll let you know for sure next week, but I may take a couple of weeks off and then kind of reset and come back in December after Thanksgiving for the new format that I'm going to do with the show. But basically, I'm going to be changing things. This is going to be a more scaled down show. I'm going to take out the recaps, and I'm only going to talk about the first issues, first appearances, that kind of thing, not share those other books at the end. I'm actually going to be doing another series that's going to focus on those books. So mixing things up a little bit, going to keep it fun. I'll go into more detail next week, like I said, but I wanted to put it out there so you could be thinking about it. If you have suggestions for me, I'd love to hear them. I already kind of have an idea what I'm going to do, but I'm still open to your thoughts and everything. So yeah, big things happen for the series and for the channel. going forward. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. Hope you are too. And if you are, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss next week's episode or any of the future content on this channel. Of course, you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics or type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care. Keep reading those comics, and I'll see you soon.